What's going on, YouTubers? I want to thank you for taking some time out of your schedule to take a look at my video. So on my last video, I discovered about the Watchtower versus the Candace Conti case, and so I started researching that, and I found that there were literally thousands of others that have gone through this. And this led to another video, or excuse me, another case, and this was the Menlo Park congregation. I need to first explain to you about the business of Jehovah's Witnesses, of the Watchtower. I liken it to the evil empire, and for some of you that may be Apple, some of you that might be McDonald's or Walmart. But Jehovah's Witnesses, the Watchtower, they're a business. And just like a business, if you open up a franchise, you're under that umbrella, so to speak. And if you open up a McDonald's, you're under that McDonald's umbrella. But as the owner, you own that property and you own that building. And you're able to put the golden arches on the front of your property, and people are able to order Big Macs and chicken nuggets. And no, we're not done with the video yet. And you're able to order mango pineapple smoothies, which are the bomb. I love those. I do endorse those. But it doesn't matter where you go. At McDonald's, you're going to be able to order those things, no matter what country you go to, what city, state. And that's how it is with Jehovah's Witnesses. Each congregation, they got the same menu. Doesn't matter where you go, whatever country, continent, got the same menu. But they are separate from the world headquarters. They're their own legal entity. And so the Watchtower has been selling off a lot of their property in New York City, and they've been getting millions and millions and millions of dollars. I mean, it's amazing how much money they're getting. But that's not enough for them. So they figured out a way to boost their assets even more. And that's to take over these local congregations, take over their kingdom halls, get the assets from that. And so what happens is they use the hierarchy system in order to accomplish this. Now, one congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses has a hierarchy system in it. The lowest on the totem pole are women. Then you have men above them. And amongst these two groups, you have a hierarchy. You have the lower publishers that just spend whatever time they can preaching each month, which they have to report. And above them, you have pioneers. They devote at least 70 hours each month going preaching every month. The next rung up on the ladder is for males, and those are ministerial servants. These are exemplary males that spend more than the average hours each month, or even in the country, preaching door to door. And among this ladder, you have the regular publisher ministerial servants, and then you have the pioneer ministerial servants. The pioneer ministerial servants will get promoted to the highest rung quicker than the regular Joe Schmo ministerial servant. And these ones, they just take care of normal operations for a kingdom hall to operate. They're in charge of cleaning departments. They hand out books. They're attendants or ushers. They count the number that are in the audience. They find people's seats, kind of things like that. They do a little teaching on stage. And then the highest rung on the ladder is that of an elder. And of course, if you're a pioneer elder, you're able to do a lot more. You're viewed as more valuable, I guess, than the regular Joe Schmo elder. and elders are the ones that do the teaching, and they take the lead, and they're like the pastor of a church. Now, that's just on a congregational level. Then you have about 20 to 25 congregations that kind of make up a circuit. You keep this in one logical physical area, and then you have what we call a circuit overseer, and he goes around to each congregation. He visits each one for a week, and he gives talks. He goes out with them in field service and in the ministry. What we call the ministry, we call that field service. And so he'll visit each congregation for 1 week, and then he'll make another rotation. He usually visits each congregation in his circuit twice a year. And then above him is what we call a district overseer, and he usually looks over 5 to 10 districts or circuits. And then above the district, you have the world headquarters. So these circuit and district overseers, they report directly to the world headquarters. Now, their insidious, greedy plan to take over property in kingdom halls was to push these circuit and district overseers to make these congregations take out loans on their property. Because basically, when you take out a loan, you have to use something as collateral more sometimes. And so, since these congregations didn't have anything as collateral, well, the kingdom hall that they owned became collateral. And so they would want to force these remodels on these kingdom halls so that way they can basically take them over and take the money, the value of the property. And so these circuit and district overseers began putting pressure on these elders in this Menlo Park congregation. Now, this is something I found online. It says this: a small group of Jehovah's Witnesses, former elders at the Menlo Park congregation, have filed a lawsuit in federal district court charging several high-ranking representatives of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society with the following charges: conspiracy to commit fraud, collusion, extortion, defamation, mail and wire fraud, and religious fraud. Now, you remember the 8th, 9th, and 10th commandments? You should not steal. We'll see how the Watchtower did that. You should not bear false witness against your neighbor. We'll see how the Watchtower did that. And you should not covet your neighbor's house or anything that is your neighbor's. We'll see how the Watchtower did that. So they coveted this congregation. Not only that, they stole money from the congregation's funds, and they also bore false witness against their neighbors. When the circuit and district overseers started putting pressure to remodel the kingdom hall, the elders didn't want to. We're fine. There's nothing wrong with our parking lot. So the circuit and district overseers went back to world headquarters and say, hey, these brothers don't want to do it. What should we do? Well, you need to put pressure. We're going to do this regardless of what happens. And so they put more pressure, and the elders just don't want to do it. They don't see the need to do that. They take a vote, and no one wants to budge. No one wants to remodel the kingdom hall. They don't want to take a loan out and have to pay it back. There's really no need. So, since the Watchtower wasn't getting their way in that manner, what did they do? Well, remember that there was charges of defamation that these brothers were taken to court for. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society decided to demote all 5 of the elders of this congregation. Now, normally, in order to be demoted, you have to do one of 2 things. You have to commit a serious sin, and you have to no longer be an example to the congregation. And so, by saying that these elders were demoted, it was implied that they were doing one or both of those things. They committed some sort of serious sin, or they were no longer examples to the congregation. Was that really the case? No, it wasn't. They wanted the money. They wanted that property, which was, I think, valued at close to $3 million. And so they wanted this so badly that they defamed those 5 brothers who have been loyally serving this religion for many, many years, and tore apart that congregation. They were now dispersed, the members of that congregation, and if there are no elders in a congregation, there can be no congregation. Just like a church, if there's no pastor, there's no church. And so, since there was no longer any elders, there was really no longer any congregation anymore. So they were kind of grafted in by another congregation, which just so happened would go along with this evil money scheme. And they got their money. And not only did they get their money, the accounts of that congregation, the money in their bank account, was mysteriously withdrawn without permission of those elders in that congregation. So now we have theft. That money belonged to those in the congregation who, in the first place, they donate funds. Jehovah's Witnesses donate funds to cover the cost of books and printing. They donate to cover the cost of full-time missionaries and full-time servants. They cover the cost to build kingdom halls worldwide. And so I don't know why, for some reason, it never really dawned on me why it was required to take a loan out to build a kingdom hall when we're already donating for that anyways. And so when I learned about this case, it made me think of a letter that was read to all congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses earlier this year. Now, I want to read you this stat. I have this book here. The 2014 Yearbook of Jehovah's Witnesses. There you go. And it says here that in the United States there are a total of 13,714 congregations as of last year. And if you take an average of 3 congregations per kingdom hall, that's about 4,000 kingdom halls in the United States. And if you would say that each kingdom hall, we'll just say that they're worth maybe $500,000 on average. That's a lot of zeros, I'm telling you. And when the Watchtower Society realized how many zeros were out there, they wanted it. And so they came up with this new loving arrangement that no longer do kingdom halls or congregations have to take loans out and repay them if the loan is approved, and that's it. If you need to get your kingdom hall remodeled, you request a loan, they approve it, no questions asked, you don't even have to pay it back anymore. So now the kingdom halls are going to be belonging to the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. It's just a matter of time. These kingdom halls are used and abused. My kingdom hall has a double auditorium. It has 4 congregations on one side and 4 on the other. So that's 8 congregations with I would say an average of about 100 each congregation. So that's 800 people going in and out twice a week. Not only that, they use it other nights during the week to meet for the preaching work. So these congregations or these kingdom halls are getting used and abused. They're going to need remodel work sooner or later. And as soon as they need that work done, they have to take out a loan. And at that point, that kingdom hall becomes part of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. So that's their evil scheme to take over all of the kingdom halls worldwide. You don't have to take out a loan, brothers. We'll give you the money. But they thought about this also. What they did when they read that letter, they passed out anonymous cards, and they asked each person to think about how much money they could basically tithe to overcome this cost of no longer those congregations having to pay back the loan. So You basically said how much you could donate each month. They got those cards back, they added it up, and they sent the numbers off back to the headquarters to see how much our congregation would be pretty much donating each month. So now that congregation is committed to not only pay for the water, electricity, and other expenses for that Kingdom Hall. You know, now you have to send a payment each month to the headquarters to defray the cost of no longer having to take out or repay loans. So the Watchtower, the Witchtower, is really, it's just the most evil empire out there. It's worse than Apple. It's worse than McDonald's, because those companies, they don't hide anything. But the Witchtower is just stabbing people in the back. They're extortioning people. They're defaming people if they don't get their ways. And they're stealing money from congregations. And is that part of a religion that I want to be a part of? Not one bit. So there was a lot of other money scandals that I learned about, and it just made me sick. This isn't a religion. This is a business. All they want is your money. They want you to bring in more people, convert them to be Jehovah's Witnesses, so that way they can donate more money, because they're losing more people that are coming in. They just can't keep up. There's too many people leaving than there is people coming in, and so they have a guilt trip. They want you to preach more, because we're living in the last days. You need to save as many people as you can. But really, we're living in the last days, so we need to save as many people as we can so they can donate more money. And it's just a wicked business masked as a religion. So after I was done researching all this stuff, I saw another link to the Watchtower's involvement with the United Nations. And so that's going to be my next video, and we'll discuss a little bit about that. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. You have a good day. God bless. And I look forward to the next video. Thanks.